Hello, welcome back to my studio. Today I'm going to do a demonstration of these coloured pencils, and in order to show you how well they work, I'm going to be doing a drawing of this botanical illustration. Alright, let's get started. Here's how my Brutfuner oil pencils arrived, with nicely coloured packaging and in a plastic box. The pencils were in 4 plastic trays, but they were tightly wedged in to stop them falling out, so I took them out and placed them in my drawers, as I like to have mine handy and easy to reach. It also came with a blank swatch sheet, but I noticed that the only way to list them is by the numbers. Most pencil manufacturers have names for the colours, but the front of the pencil only has the manufacturer's name and the number. So I chose to list them by the colours instead of by the numbers, because that seemed to make the most sense to me. To begin my demo, I'm using Bristol vellum paper. It's a great paper for using coloured pencils, wonderfully smooth. It's part of the Strathmore 300 series and affordable. So there's a great selection of colours available here. There's some lovely greens, but I would have preferred a couple more yellows. The selection of greys is nice, and there's lots of choices in the browns, so this is great, especially if you draw from nature. There's also a fabulous selection of blues here. There's one white, but I would have liked a couple of creams and beiges. I'm going to start my iris, and while I create it, I'll cover some of my considerations, including my first impressions of the pencils, their vibrancy, hardness versus softness, overall pencil quality, price, layering and blending ability, and how much detail these pencils can achieve, and then I'll quickly summarize my review. So on first impression, I thought that they were nicely packaged, although I did find one broken one, but it was just the lead and not in the pencil length itself. Some of the ends of the pencils were slightly discoloured, but they didn't remain that way once I'd sharpened them. I love the vibrancy of the colours. The pigments appear to be really rich and they lay down thick, as comparable as any good quality brands I've used in the past that are much more expensive. All the colours I tried out are vibrant. The price was $28 for 120 pencils, which is pretty amazing. So I think with shipping they ended up being $33. The pencils are hard, but not so hard that they slip along the surface of the page. With coloured pencils, you want to be able to build up layers, but some pencils are so hard that they just seem to glide along the surface. You want some grip to be able to grab the pigment, but not slippery. So in that regard, these seem just about perfect, because they're hard enough to not require constant sharpening, and you want this quality in pencils, as otherwise you're going to go through leads too quickly. In this iris, I only had to sharpen this purple pencil a few times and the other ones only once, if at all, so they should last a long time. They sharpened well and to a fine point, and none of them broke while I was working. I used the General's sharpener, which is a small plastic sharpener that over time has become my preferred choice for using with coloured pencils, and I highly recommend it. I have tried many, actually all of them I think. The overall quality of the pencils is really good. They're colourful on the outside, have a good solid wooden interior, the numbers are clear to read, but again my main issue is that the pencils only have a number and not a colour description. So the only way you're going to be able to find them is by the number, which seems quite impractical. But to be fair, coloured pencils don't have a standard colour system like paints do, and anyway, these are not touted and sold as artist's quality. So you do have to do a colour swatch to differentiate the colours. In my opinion, it's always a good idea to fill one out anyway, as colours on the outside are not what they're like on the inside. And this seems to be so true of all colour pencil brands, regardless of quality or cost. So I always fill in my colour sheet, and if I don't get one with my pencils, I download a blank one. And I use these every single time I make my colour choices, and it saves me from picking the wrong colours. And I have found out the hard way, because one time when I didn't look at the colour chart, the cherry that I was drawing was so much the wrong shade of red that I picked out and used that it looked more like a tomato. So it's just not worth second guessing colours. Layering is definitely possible with the Brutfuners. I layered about 3 times to get my desired depth in this iris, and they layer really well. I decided not to use solvent, even though these are oil-based and could have accepted the solvent, especially on the vellum paper, which is thick enough to absorb liquid. I just decided once I got going that I really liked the grainy look. I don't always want this look, but I wanted my drawing to look more like a drawing rather than a painting. If you've never used solvent and want to try that method, you can check out my other botanical illustration video where I used Faber-Castell, which is also an oil-based pencil, and see how to apply solvent. So because I didn't use solvent or apply solvent to these Brutfuners, I can't actually say whether they worked or not, but it's worth finding out, and since I create such a lot, I'll probably do a review soon. Details are really amazing. The point stayed sharp once it was sharpened, and I was able to continue getting detail for ages without having to resharpen. I feel like these pencils would be great for any botanical illustrations, and really just for anything that you would want to create with coloured pencils. I plan to use them on some bird drawings later on, using a wider variety of colours than I did in this example. I doubt for the price that these pencils are light fast. If you want to sell art, light fastness is a very important factor in your coloured pencil purchase, because you want the artwork to last a really long time. Or even if you're not selling, but intend your artwork to just stand the test of time. So in summary, I think they're a terrific choice, and I think they are right up there with better quality pencils available on the market, which is pretty unbelievable for the price. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my channel, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so that you'll always be alerted to my new content. See you in the next video.